The way the headlights work is that they're on the touch screen. There's a little button right here, you hit that and you can turn them off, automatic, parking lights on, or the headlights on manually. Now you notice the fog lights are not listed here. So you go here to controls, and then the fog lights are in the controls. So you can toggle those on or off here. There is a physical dimmer switch for the interior gauges here. The dome light is controlled here on the screen. The ambient light is not under the controls. You have to go back out of that, go to the home screen, and then you can adjust the ambient light here. The rest of the light settings, you go here to the home screen, go to settings, and then you go down to vehicle, and then you go down to lighting, and then you can adjust the ambient lighting, which is basically another shortcut to that feature, vehicle locator lights, and then you have exit lighting, in which you can adjust the time. When you walk up to the vehicle with the key, it has the full proximity key system, and it'll sense the key. It'll turn on the interior lights and exterior lights just by sensing the key. So that's pretty cool. When you hit the unlock button, basically the same thing happens, which we already have the exterior and interior lights on. Now I have the parking lights on, and basically it's just these white lights here in the front, daytime running lights. They're accent lights as well. So you can see here on the side, it kind of looks like this piano design. Pretty cool. They're not overly bright. You're not going to mistake these for headlights, but they look really good. Very distinctive. There's also an amber side marker here on the front. You see kind of blended in here right above that little piano design. But there's also one here on the fender right above the wheel well. And I thought it was pretty cool. I hadn't seen that before in any vehicle. Now there's one on the back as well. So the back wheel well. And then the tail lights wrap around to the side of the vehicle, serving also as a side marker. They're nice and deep red. They kind of have a little bit of that piano design here. Very distinctive accent lights as well as tail lights. Pretty cool. Tag lights are now on. The turn signal here in the front basically takes that white light and turns it amber and maintains the white light between flashes. So it's nice and bright, very bright, much brighter than the white light. And it's large as well, so it takes up a lot of space and catches your eye. So you're definitely not gonna miss these turn signals here in the front. Visible all around the front here. Front, sides. Also illuminates a little bit on the ground so other cars can see that as well. There's a turn signal indicator here on the side mirror. It's amber in color. It's visible from the front, the side, and the back. So yeah, that looks good as well. And the turn signal back here is very bright red. But it is bright. I can barely look at it. Let me dim the camera down here. But yeah, it's red in color. It's blasting out the camera, so it's hard to tell the red. But it's definitely red in color. You can see my hand. It's illuminated. Well, yeah, pretty much can tell the red color. Camera's having trouble picking up the color on this because it's so bright. But yeah, it's nice and bright. I'll step back here so you can see. So yeah, not missing that that turn signal. It looks really good. Now there is a third brake light at the top of the glass in that rear spoiler. So here is the headlights here. And then there's the headlights. All right, so there's the headlights, and then I'm toggle the fog lights on or off so you can see the difference here. I have to do it on this, reach in and do it on the screen. For some reason, that's the way this vehicle is. So yeah, there's the fog lights on or off. We're of course gonna drive down the road on a dark road so you can see how these perform. But it's a single projector. So it's just a single projector headlight on each side. Now more light shines through that projector for the high beams. But that's the design of the headlight there. And then the fog light is a multi-reflector. So it's a multi-reflector system. And it's in that low position. So stepping back here, have everything on low beams, of course. And go back here a little ways and see where the cutoff is. So above here, you can look at the headlights. But down here, yeah, it's about 3 feet off the ground, so it's quite high. I guess it's a tall vehicle, so that's why. Now we'll see how, if it stays level or if it aims down. Sometimes, a little bit taller vehicles have a aim that aims down a little bit, so the further I go back, the more it's going to be, it's going to lower. But we'll find out when we go on the road. But yeah, pretty cool looking headlights. So now let's go to the high beams. There's the low beams. You can see the cutoff there on the trees, and there's the high beams. And the high beams, when you turn on the high beams, the fog lights will turn off, of course. That's pretty typical. But just looking at the projector here, it basically looks the same, just from this angle, because it's just shining more light through that projector. And we'll see, of course, see how it performs on the road. So no, this is not April Fool's Day. This is actually the light that they give you for the cargo area. So it has this one light right here. It's a little teeny light, and there's barely any light that gets in the cargo area. It's just like, I don't know, like it shines pretty good right there, but by the time it makes it here, there's nothing, especially with the black interior. It shines a little bit on the ground, but yeah, there's absolutely no light in here. So another thing is, this light's in the center. So as I walk in here, I block all the light with my body. So you'd have to stand to one side or the other. It has been a pain to use this vehicle with my equipment at night, trying to get my equipment out and everything, trying to line up, like it's a big problem. It's absolutely ridiculous. This has got to be a joke. This is an expensive vehicle. There's a lot of lighting positives about this vehicle, but the cargo area is ridiculously poor. The third row seat, it does have this light here, and you can see it doesn't really work all that good. We have a lot of dark areas, and the cup holders here, there's no light. So yeah, there is a USB port over there that is backlit. But yeah, and there's one on this side as well. But yeah, it's not all that great, which, you might not necessarily need light in the third row. I mean, but you got a little bit of light, I guess, just for reading something. The inside of this back door has no puddle lights or anything like that, no pocket lights. The only light is this window switch. Has a little tiny bit of light backlit, just the tiniest bit, just to find it in the middle of a dark night, I guess. But the second row seats actually do have some decent light. There's one on each side of that big sunroof, and it illuminates mostly on the floorboard, but it does spill over into the seats. And a little tiny bit there in the center. Then we have some backlit USB ports here. There's a compartment down here that's not backlit, so that's dark. Then we have the climate control backlit buttons there. Cup holders there, nothing illuminated there. So yeah, I would say these, for what you're going for, these back seat lights are decent because they give you a halfway decent amount of light. And I like the way it kind of goes in the floorboard as well, just so that way you don't have like this dark abyss below you. So the front door actually does have a puddle light. So that's cool. So you can see what you're stepping in when you get out of the vehicle. But there's no approach lights or anything like that, just a puddle light. And the front door, no pocket lights or anything, but we do have the backlit buttons here, 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 and then we have a little bit of an ambient light here, which I have it set to green, but we can change the color if we want. There's no floorboard illumination, and the front lights are just these little reading lights turned on, which they're okay, I guess. Okay, so I'm sitting in here and I have the driver door open. Let's go ahead and see it. Interior lights fade out. Now we have the backlit buttons here on the steering wheel. To the left of the steering wheel here is the dimmer switch. So we're gonna cycle through that so you can see the difference here. All right, so it dims down quite a bit. It's a little bit of delay, so I have to like leave it there for a second before it goes all the way down. Now I'll go all the way up, and a little bit of a delay before it gets to full brightness. You can see it's not just the gauges that it dims. Another thing is, I don't know if you noticed this, but the any kind of lights flickering in the vehicle, that's just a camera anomaly. Has nothing to do with the actual lights themselves. It's just the Each light has a different flicker rate, so my camera can only adjust to some of them and not all of them, so something's going to be flickering somewhere. But yeah, backlit buttons here. Shifter's backlit. And it has a stock, so it's a little bit non-traditional, so that's good that it's backlit. Yes, there's the gauge cluster. Let's go ahead and turn on the camera, because the camera works fairly well. I'm turning the brightness down on the camera here, on my camera, so you can see it better. But yeah, it works well. You can see around the vehicle. It's not super dark where I'm at, but in all the areas that I've used it, it was fine. Now this area here, where you put your cell phone, it doesn't have any light here per se. There's some USB ports that are backlit, but there's a light that's coming from up here. So if you follow it up here is a light right there, and it shines down, and it helps to illuminate this area, and it does a decent job, even though there's no light down here, you know, directly. It's just that little moonlight that comes down does help out a lot. That makes it usable, you know. Same thing with the cup holders. It comes down here a little bit as well. And then the armrest, this console area, there is a big tray on the top, which I have my business cards in, but there's no light to see in that. But does have a light down here, which basically just shines on the other side. I'm going to drop my business card down there so you can see. So the light shines here, but not towards the bottom. So there's a shadow at the bottom. So it'd be nice if that actually shone, you know, like if the light were to shine directly down into the compartment instead of just like hitting the other side. So it's kind of odd. Glove compartment has no light. So just consider that. How much is this vehicle again? So yeah, no light. And also, let's say I want to turn on the interior light right now. Well, I have to go on the screen. And then we have to find it. There we go. So now we can turn on the interior light. Can we see in the glove compartment? Not really. So even with the interior light on, the glove compartment is hard to see into. So that's an issue. Turn interior lights off. So it has a rear view camera, which works well. It's not the best one I've seen. It doesn't have the best clarity, and it's not the best size and everything, but it does work well. You're able to see day or night behind the vehicle. And then you have the backlit buttons up here. And this is for your sunroof. And then your place to put your sunglasses is not illuminated or anything. That's usually not the case because it's nighttime. You don't need sunglasses. So the visor has two lights. And they're bright enough to illuminate your face, but they're soft enough to where they don't really mess up your vision too much, you know. So these are really well done. Now if you want individual like reading lights, you can turn these on like that, and basically just shines right here in front of you, so you can read something, and they don't shine in the driver's face or anything. So that's okay. So you can adjust the ambient light, and I have it set to green. It's just this line that goes on the dash and on the doors. It's not super like elaborate or anything. It just has a line. It doesn't like shine on anything or anything. But anyways, you can adjust the brightness separately for that all the way down if you want to. You can bring it back up. And then you can change the color. So there's red, pink, peach, different colors here. It's pretty much instant, so we can quickly go through them here. Have white, blue, purple, pink, hot pink, different shades of purple, different shades of blue, even white, sand color. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I had it at green before. Let's go to like a hot pink, so that'll stand out a lot. Okay, so there is the headlight pattern on the fence, and there's a little notch that's supposed to line up with the oncoming lane. And we'll see how that works. So there's the high beams, there's the low beams, and let's turn on the fog lights on and off. It's actually starting to get foggy. I don't know where this fog came from, but I guess we'll test the fog lights out a little bit. So there's the fog lights on or off. And so there's the high beams, low beams. And so yeah, we'll see how it goes. Problem with fog is that it's harder to demonstrate the high beam. So hopefully maybe we'll get to a place where there's less fog. So there's another view of the headlights there. High and low beams cut off. So that shadow appears, yeah, it's mostly on the oncoming lane, but the cutoff is a little high, so we'll see if that has an issue with blinding other people. It's like a full 3 feet off the ground, so if somebody has a low vehicle, it could potentially have a little bit of an issue with that. But yeah, so far I can see on the sides of the road nicely. I can see the road itself good. Alright, so yeah, it gets a little darker up here. Hopefully there'll be less fog. Glad it's not like super dense fog. Okay, so there's the low beams with the fog lights on, fog lights off. So you can see the difference there. Don't really do much right now, but I mean, it's closer to the vehicle. I can see closer to the vehicle better, so that could help out. So we'll just leave those on like that. So yeah, so far, low beams are looking good. They're a little bit patchy on the ground, on the road here, but I can see on the sides of the road great. The distance is actually pretty good too, so considering they're low beams. Nobody's flashing me. Let's go to high beams now. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's looking really good. Even though we had a little bit of fog issue here, but I can see the trees in the distance and everything. So yeah, that's looking good. Wait for this car to pass. Another car. It's like they're evenly distributed tonight. All right, so yeah, high beams. Yeah, it goes out to the side of the road nicely, and the distance is pretty good considering we have fog tonight. And so yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yeah. There's no significant patchiness really. I mean, the high and low beams, since it's at the same projector, does a good job of just like spreading that light everywhere without being, considering we have 2 points of light, of the main headlights, besides the fog lights, we only have 2 points of light, and that just one projector on each side, and then of course it's adding light, but it's still coming from that same point. These headlights are pretty impressive. The brightness is good. I would say it's adequate. It's not, it's not like it's super bright and super impressive or anything. The way they handle that light on the low beams is good. It's really good, actually, I think. And then the high beams is able to just fill the entire in front of me, the entire area in front of me, illuminate from like 180 degrees adequately. So yeah, this is I think it's pretty impressive. There's a little bit of, the mist of fog is getting away a little bit, but even then, it's still, I'm able to see a great distance, and the fact that it spreads it out to the sides of the road, so I can really have a good view of the sides of the road for deer and stuff like that, and that's a big deal. And that's even on the low beams. So the low and the high beams just do a great job. Now, I mentioned this in the test drive. The engine sound kind of takes away from the luxury feeling, you know. It's and also the very poor lighting as far as glove box, glove compartment, the floorboard, the cargo area. Like, what's up with this? Is like totally not good. I mean, it really does hinder the ability to use the vehicle, and also the class of type of vehicle. You know, it's a nice vehicle and has a lot of nice features, but when you start having issues with just the usability because they didn't put a light, or the light isn't bright enough, or it's not designed properly, then it's like, well, what else is not designed properly? What else did they not consider as a user? You know, if you're not designing the vehicle for the end user, what are you designing it for? And then, so if there's like heavy misses on just basic stuff, like a little tiny light in the glove compartment or the cargo light, it's like, did they even test it? Did they even, get anybody's opinion? Is it cost cutting? How much are they actually saving by doing these things? So yeah, it's to me, little things like that, it may seem little, but when you actually have to use the cargo area for equipment and little tiny pieces that you're trying to put together, and you can't see, then it's like, well, okay, then it's a problem, right? So you have to evaluate the entire vehicle. Just like the headlights, if they were like super dim and I couldn't see anything and I hit a deer and I can't see the deer, then that's a problem too, So cargo area, glove compartment, certain areas in which is just, they didn't even consider your needs. So that's why I point out these things. And I'm not just picking on this brand. It's like a common thing where there's like hits and misses, right? Like they totally nail certain areas, but then they miss on others. It's like, well, why are they missing? Did they even test it? Are they even taking this into consideration? Biggest thing is people don't buy cars typically at night, so they don't even know that they don't have a light in the glove compartment. They just drive it, and then when they get home, after they sign all the papers and after they get home, then they realize, oh, wait a minute, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, and it's like a big pain after the sale. If it was known beforehand, and that's why I do the videos, you can understand what first of all, what the vehicle usability of the vehicle at night, but also how well the people who designed the vehicle, did they actually design it for you, or did they design it to sell? So yeah, that's very important to look at it in that way, because like we've got some nice fancy ambient lights here, so that contributes to you buying it because the advertising can look good, right? But the cargo lights are not shown in advertising, so glove compartment's not shown in advertising. So was this the vehicle designed to sell, or was it designed for you as an end user to use it productively? So yeah, all these things to consider, right? So like safety companies measure the headlights and they give a rating on the headlights and certain things. So they design certain things to excel and other things to the things that are not measured, because hardly anybody does night videos, right? I do. I'm like the only person it seems like that takes it seriously. Even the people that do night videos, they don't necessarily take it seriously. They don't evaluate it. They just like show it. So yeah, it's all things to consider. And if you're looking for vehicles, definitely take a look at my night videos if I have one on the vehicle that you're interested in, because it shows, like, some vehicles you can tell they actually took the time to make sure that the vehicle is the end user experience is positive, and it's not something that's going to show up in commercials. It's not going to show up when you're the salesman showing the vehicle, but they still put it in there anyway. And those are the type of vehicles, when they consider those things, that means that there's a higher chance that they looked over the entire vehicle and designed it better than just like putting it together, and where they can cut corners, they'll cut corners, right? So yeah, enough ranting, enough explaining. I think you get the idea. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.